Hello and welcome to Fund to Money. Here we'll be talking about emergency funds, why you need them, how much emergency funds to keep and where to keep them. We'll be telling you why emergency funds is not something that is just you put in some money by the side. It's got a very important role. It is your first most important investment. That's right. It's not your stock, not your equity fund or the hot outperforming investments people are recommending, but your first step needs to be insurance, as we have argued elsewhere in various platforms, and then combining with it has to be emergency funds. Emergency funds, as we all know, is meant for emergencies, and the emergencies that emergency fund is supposed to deal with are far more than you actually anticipate. If you have adequate emergency funds, you will be able to deal with lots of situations without actually touching your long-term investments. And so that's one of the things emergency funds do. They not only take care of the emergency requirements in terms of payment of money, but they help you deal with a whole host of situations which we are going to discuss in some detail. They range from regular medical expenses to making a transition from being employed to self-employed, setting up a business, mid-career course, then taking care of dependent people in your family, job security, a job loss or a pay cut. So emergency fund is meant for a whole lot of things. When it actually combines with insurance, it actually builds up a base on which you can build the building of wealth. Some people call it the wealth pyramid. So you can build that, because when you have a good base, then you can build a good building. And that's why emergency fund teams up with insurance so well that it has to be your first investment. We are not calling insurance as your first investment, but because it's an expense, we are paying the premium for that protection. And with that, when it's combining, it gives you that confidence that your plans are not going to get messed up. Now, the other thing, of course, we're going to discuss here is why you should not be bothering about lots and lots of returns coming in emergency fund. We'll argue that your key part is accessibility of emergency funds. So these are some of the things we're going to talk and discuss. Now, the second section is going to discuss why you need emergency funds, and we'll give you we'll give you about 8 reasons why you need emergency funds, and we give you just a glimpse that it is not just about something happening suddenly. There's a lot of things that you need to keep in mind. And in the third section, we're going to talk about why it is important for you to figure out what could be the possible emergencies, and that is going to determine how much money you need to keep. So it changes from time to time. It's not as if it's one rule. What the emergency funds that you need to have early on in life will change when you grow older, or with years, as the years go by, it will change. And then we'll be also talking about in the third section where to keep that money, and why it is based on the needs emergency requirements that you anticipate, and then how to build it. So that's a pretty elaborate plan that we have. So we'll jump into the next section. We'll be coming up in just a little while. Welcome back. Welcome to Fund to Money. We are discussing emergency funds. Basically, why you need to have them, how much to have them, how much emergency fund you need, where to park your money for emergency funds, and how to build an emergency fund. So here we're going to be talking about why you need an emergency fund. It is not generally putting in some money by the side and say, okay, if something happens, this money is there. You need to put far more thought into it. It is almost as important as when you're buying an insurance, or you're investing for retirement, or buying a home, or putting away money to set up a business or children's higher education. So let's jump into it and first tell you why you need to have an emergency fund, because that is going to actually determine the next few steps, which is how much to keep and where to keep and how to build it up. Okay, so let's get started. Number one, emergency fund. What it does is, because you have money earmarked separately, you don't have to think where to get the money from during an emergency, because it's going to come all of a sudden. You need to pay out. So it's not going to disturb. It's already there. You can use that money, right? So that's number one. Number two, it prevents you from taking expensive loans. Suppose you don't have a provision for it. Where will you get the money from? Immediately you probably dip into your credit card, or probably even go for personal loan. They are very expensive. What they're going to do is they're going to disrupt your present, whatever expenses that you have to meet and requirements that you need, that might get disrupted, or you might draw up money from something you've kept for tomorrow. So it could be, buying a home. You're keeping money by the side for a home down payment or something like that. All those things will get disrupted. So number one is to prevent you from taking loans. It secures your investments for the future, so you don't dip into the money that you've earmarked for the future. So future goals are secured, and that is why we were saying that when it teams up with insurance, it makes sure that emergency fund actually makes sure that your investments are secured. That you don't tap into them before time. Imagine an emergency happens and you've got shares and equity funds and you just tap into them before time. What a mess that would be, right? It also prevents you from disrupting your present. So you have a budget, you've got an income and expenses are earmarked. You don't have to disrupt, you don't have to stop something. You're not going to walk to your office just in case there's an emergency happens, just because you have to meet that emergency, right? So you still will have to use a car or public transport, right? So this is very important that you need to keep in mind. Then there are certain financial vulnerabilities that typically happen when you are using emergency. You have, and emergency funds actually help you meet them. Now, what could they be? You could be having a very tight finance. You might be earning well, but there are lots of expenses that are happening. Okay, so this could typically happen when you've just taken a home loan. So you're just trying to get adjusted to paying those, kind of EMIs you borrowed almost to the prudent margin, right? And an emergency suddenly will completely put you on the back foot. So this is where emergency funds actually help you. You could be actually helping out your aged parents, siblings, dependent siblings. There could be regular medical expenses. All those are important. In fact, one of the other vulnerabilities could be some kind of a predictable health expense that you or somebody in your family might be having. So you cannot be suddenly, if you anticipate that is going to happen in sometime in the future, it's better to make provisions for it. Of course, one of the other points here is that emergency funds actually help you cover lots of expenses which are not covered by insurance. So it could be things like dental issues, glass and plastic parts in your cars. So parts of it might be get covered fully, it might not get covered. So when you have an emergency fund, you don't have to bother about all that. Then there is job security. So if you think you might lose your job or you have a pay cut, emergency funds helps, because your expenses are going to remain, and it makes sure that you can meet your expenses, right? Apart from that, you could be making a transition to a lower or no income. So suppose you've taken a sabbatical, you want to do a course, mid-career course or something like that, or you want to change your whole career, you could get into a different industry, or you want to go from employment to self-employment. So there could be periods of no income or low income. So how do you adjust for that? You need some kind of a thing, insurance or a safety net that will help you. That's where emergency funds come for you. You don't have to go and tap into your provident fund, which is everybody's favorite go-to tool that messes up your retirement. So you don't have to do that. If you're an emergency fund, you don't have to tap into your provident fund. The provident fund is meant for retirement, and along with other investments, so you can keep that in mind. So as we also have mentioned to you, as I just mentioned to you, it secures, emergency funds helps secure long-term investment. Apart from that, what it also does, it builds a nice little base, broad base, deep base on which you can build your wealth. So you can actually aggressively invest, because nothing is going to come and disturb your investments, you don't have to tap them before time. Remember, emergency funds, what it does is once you do it, once you have it, because you have to actually, the key out there in terms of emergency fund is to have access. Access is very important, so it has to go into low risk investments, right? We will discuss it in a little while. And because low risk, it's a low risk investment, so low return, you would obviously, the returns are going to be less. So once you have that, you really don't have to keep anything extra in lower return on low risk investments. Apart from that, of course, if something is coming up in the next 1, 2, 3 years, then you'll probably keep it in a lower risk sort of investment. But apart from that, you don't need to keep too much. So what it does is, once you have figured this piece out, you can actually, the rest of your savings is left for very high growth investment, especially in the initial years of your life, right? So we have now finished the second part of this discussion. We will be now shortly going to the third part, which is basically about how much emergency funds to keep and where to keep it and how to build it up. So we will be back very shortly. Don't go away. Welcome back. Welcome to Fund Money. We are at the final part of this discussion on emergency funds. Here we're going to discuss how much emergency funds you need to keep and where to keep it and how to build up an emergency fund. So this is the business end of this discussion. So let's get started. Let's get talking. So basically, what you need to remember is in an emergency fund, access is very important. Return is not important, which a lot of people agonize. They say, "No, where can I get more return?" Every piece of money, every chunk of money doesn't need to be earning. You need to make sure what is this amount which is for emergency. The focus has to be on accessibility. Yes, if it's a large amount for some reason, some of the cases where there are, you're making a transition, the income replacement is happening because you're not going to be earning something out for a certain period, then one can still understand. But if that is not the case, then what you need to do is make sure that you just have enough emergency fund. And remember, if you have too less of emergency fund, what you have to do is you either will be tapping onto your long-term investments, or will be borrowing something, or disrupting what's happening in the present. So, and if you have too much, the overall return of your investments is going to go down. So you need to have a good balance. Now you can basically, how can you smartly do this? So you can classify your emergencies into two parts. One is the expense emergency and the other being income emergency. Expense emergencies could be medical emergencies, expenses that are happening, sudden expenses that come in. So one of the things we obviously missed out in the previous section is sudden expenses that come in. It could be a marriage or something like that in your family, and so that when that comes in, then that's also one reason why you should be having an emergency fund, or something which is coming out of the ordinary, and suddenly that expense happens. Say waterlogging or something happens, and your car gets messed up. So these kind of things, if they happen on a regular basis, you can anticipate that and have an emergency fund accordingly. So when you actually are starting out, and you cannot anticipate too much, then 3 months of your monthly expenses are more than enough. And but the important part is, as you go along in life, the requirement keeps changing. So 3 months when you're starting off, and when you are talking about 3 months of expense, we are including EMIs, insurance premiums. Because those are payouts; they actually come from your income. So that's what you're trying to do. Over a period of time, when you get married, you need to increase it a little more. Have kids, you need to increase it more. So 3 to 6 months in the beginning. When you have other things coming in, obviously you need to increase. So if there are aged parents or something like that, and they have certain expenses that might just turn up, then you have to increase it. Maybe you go from 6 to 9 months. So that's one set, which is expense emergency. The other is income emergencies, which is basically job security. You're not very sure whether you'll be able to keep your job, or there could be a pay cut. There could be a period when you don't have a job, or you're making a transition from being employed to self-employed. So all this you need to keep in mind when you're applying for income emergency. There the amount needs to be larger, obviously, and because you're replacing the income. Now, all this will actually determine the next part. Where do you park the money, right? So this, as we have explained, that this requirement is going to change over a period of time. Meaning you yourself are going to get on by with the years. Maybe you're going to get 50, 60. The requirement is going to become more, because you yourself will have some health issues or some other issues, and you would want to keep some money in emergency fund. So that requirement will actually go up. So let's get back to where you can put the money. So the question again is, which is the part which you need immediately, because of an emergency. So that is the part that should be very easily accessible. So high paying savings account, you can have a separate savings account for it. It could be linked to a savings account called FD, and the remaining part can be put in slightly higher return investments. So it could be ultra short debt funds. It could be liquid funds. So you can put that, but remember, for debt funds less than 3 years, that period of investment, you get taxed at your income tax rate. Okay, the capital gains get taxed at the income tax rate. So you might want to consider putting a part of the money in arbitrage funds if the amount is significant. Say it's an income replacement kind of emergency, income replacement you're looking at, and it's an income emergency that you're looking at, and you can look at arbitrage funds simply because even if you withdraw before 1 year, above 1 year, of course, it's 10% long-term capital gains tax of capital gains more than 1 lakh rupees. And for short term, which is less than 1 year, you will pay 15% tax. So arbitrage funds could be one of them. So that's the kind of balance you can look at. Apart from that, how do you build it? You actually, for mutual funds, you have SIP, systematic investment plan. You make regular investments. You can start, you can earmark a little bit of money, you can build it over a period of time, and whether it's ultra short debt funds or liquid funds or arbitrage funds, you can do that. For bank, you can have a recurring deposit, and once you get that lump sum, you can put it in the emergency fund. So one last point is that if you have used it partly or fully, the emergency fund, what you need to do then is replenish it, get it back to its original shape. Otherwise, because minus it, you will be in a bit of a bother, which you don't want to be, right? So we hope you found this useful, this discussion on emergency funds. It is not just random, having some random amount of money, 3 months money, and put it somewhere, and generally getting bothered about which is giving you high returns. For God's sake, between two liquid funds, the difference in returns or something like that is not hugely different. They'll only make a difference if you're keeping large amounts, right? And in the lower end, risk end, how much difference are you going to make? Will it make in terms of a couple of basis points? Your key is to have just the right amount and make sure that more amount of money is going in high growth investments. So that is the trick, not agonizing over which liquid fund is currently giving you the highest returns, etc., etc. And by the way, no other silly things, getting into dividend option and dividend reinvestment. Your key is to have access to the money. Remember, it has to be low risk sort of investment, because you cannot afford to have less than the principal amount coming in, right? So this is basically what the discussion is. We hope you found this useful. If you've liked it, hit the like button, share it with others, and get connected with us on all leading social media networks. Till the next time, take very good care of yourself, and goodbye.